Welcome to a deep dive into John C. Maxwell's How Successful People Think.
Ooh, I like that deep dive.
We're gonna extract the most potent strategies from it
Okay.
to sharpen your thinking
Mhm.
and help you achieve even more success in life.
Love it.
Now, Maxwell outlines 11 key thinking skills in this book.
Okay.
But for this deep dive, we've cherry-picked a few
Oh,
specifically.
interesting.
Very nice.
Yeah, and that's based on what you've shared about wanting to tackle some big decisions coming up, right?
Exactly. So we're going to focus on realistic thinking, strategic thinking, and bottom line thinking.
Okay.
The skills that will help you make those tough calls with confidence.
That's a great combination
Yeah.
because one of Maxwell's core premises is that successful people don't just happen to think differently.
Right.
They do it deliberately.
That's so encouraging, I think,
Yeah,
because it means we can actually learn to think in ways that lead to greater success.
totally.
It's not about being born brilliant.
Yeah.
It's about developing these skills.
Right. And in the book, Maxwell shares an anecdote about a conference he attended with wildly successful people from all walks of life, CEOs, athletes, artists, you name it. He realized that the common thread wasn't their background, wealth, or even luck.
It was how they thought. Isn't that fascinating?
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting about this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack those thinking patterns
Yeah.
and give you actionable strategies you can apply right away.
Okay, let's start with realistic thinking.
Okay.
This one hit home for me.
Yeah.
Because I used to be the queen of rose-colored glasses.
Okay.
I'd avoid tough realities, hoping they'd just magically disappear.
Right.
But Maxwell argues that ignoring reality doesn't make it go away.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it makes it harder to achieve your goals.
Totally. He actually admits that he used to resist realistic thinking, too.
Oh, really?
He thought it would crush his creativity.
Yeah, I get that.
But then he realized that acknowledging limitations isn't about being pessimistic. It's about building a solid foundation for success.
So how do we shift from wishful thinking to realistic thinking when facing a big decision?
Well, Maxwell suggests we start by doing our homework.
Okay.
Don't just rely on gut feelings or assumptions. Gather the facts.
Right.
Challenge your own perspective by getting input from others, especially those who have faced similar situations.
Okay.
And he doesn't just mean seeking out people who agree with you. In fact, he encourages surrounding yourself with people who think differently.
Interesting.
He says those diverse viewpoints will help you see the situation more clearly
Okay.
and identify potential challenges you might have overlooked.
Okay, so gather facts, challenge assumptions, and seek out diverse perspectives. That's a great start. What else does Maxwell recommend for realistic thinking?
He's a big believer in thoroughly weighing the pros and cons.
Okay.
Not just listing them out, but really considering their relative importance.
There.
Which factors carry more weight? Which ones are deal breakers?
Yeah.
This helps you make a more informed and balanced decision.
Makes sense.
And he takes it a step further with a tip that initially sounds kind of groomy. Plan for the worst case scenario.
Oh, okay.
But he actually frames it as a way to mitigate risk and build confidence.
Right?
It's like that saying, hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Totally. Yeah.
Exactly. By thinking through the potential downsides, you're not being pessimistic.
Yeah.
You're being proactive. You're identifying potential roadblocks and developing contingency plans. It's like having a safety net so you can take calculated risks without being paralyzed by fear.
That makes so much sense. It's not about dwelling on negative possibilities.
Right.
It's about being prepared. Okay, so we've got realistic thinking as a foundation.
Okay.
Now, how does strategic thinking build on that when it comes to decision making?
Strategic thinking is all about aligning your actions with a clear vision for the future. It's about being intentional and proactive, rather than just reacting to whatever comes your way. Maxwell argues that many people try to plan their lives one day at a time,
Right.
but strategic thinking requires a more deliberate approach.
So it's about taking that step back and looking at the bigger picture.
Exactly. And Maxwell actually walks the talk with this one.
Okay.
He shared his own monthly planning routine in the book.
Okay.
He blocks out time for everything.
Oh, wow.
Thinking, writing, working, meetings, even fun activities. By the end of the process, he has a detailed roadmap for the coming weeks.
Wow, that sounds incredibly organized, but I get it.
Yeah.
If you have a clear plan, it frees up mental space to focus on the task at hand.
Exactly.
You're not constantly putting out fires or scrambling to catch up.
Right. And that structure actually fosters creativity.
Interesting.
When you're not overwhelmed by the day-to-day, you have more mental energy to think strategically about the bigger picture.
Okay, so how do we develop this strategic thinking muscle? What
Hmm.
specific tips does Maxwell offer?
He's a big proponent of breaking down complex issues into smaller, manageable parts.
Right.
It's like eating an elephant one bite at a time.
Right.
Instead of getting overwhelmed by the enormity of a decision, focus on one step at a time.
Right. And he emphasizes the importance of challenging conventional wisdom.
Yes.
Don't just rely on what's always been done. Be willing to explore new approaches
Mm,
and seek out different perspectives.
exactly. He's a firm believer in gathering information from diverse sources. He even suggests intentionally seeking out people who disagree with you.
Interesting.
That friction can spark new ideas and help you refine your strategy.
That's so interesting. It's about embracing that discomfort, knowing it can lead to better solutions.
Yeah.
Okay, so break it down, challenge assumptions, gather diverse input. What else?
He also highlights the importance of reviewing your resources realistically.
Okay.
Consider your time constraints, budget, available materials,
Mm.
and the skills and talents of your team members. It's about being practical and ensuring that your plan is actually feasible.
It's like that saying, measure twice, cut once.
Exactly.
You don't want to launch into a plan without first taking stock of what you have to work with.
Right. And once you've developed a strategy, Maxwell encourages you to run it by the people who will be most affected by its implementation.
Oh, okay.
They can offer valuable insights and feedback based on their experience and understanding of the situation.
That's so smart. It's not just about creating a plan in isolation. It's about getting buy-in from your team and ensuring that everyone is on board.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork with realistic thinking and developed a strategy with strategic thinking.
Okay.
Now, how does bottom line thinking come into play?
Bottom line thinking is all about focusing on the ultimate goal
Okay.
and aligning all your actions towards achieving it.
Right.
It's about cutting through the noise and distractions to stay laser focused on what truly matters.
So it's like having that North Star to guide your decisions.
Exactly. And to illustrate this, Maxwell shares a surprising anecdote about Maxwell House Coffee. I bet you can't guess what unexpected product they've been distributing for over 70 years.
Oh. Coffee accessories.
Uh,
Specialty mugs.
nope. Haggadahs.
What?
The order of service for the Jewish Passover Seder. Millions of them. It's become a cherished tradition for many Jewish families.
Wait, what? That's so unexpected. What does coffee have to do with Passover?
It's a brilliant example of bottom line thinking.
Okay.
The company recognized that Jewish families often gather for large Seder meals, and guess what often accompanies those meals?
Coffee, of course.
Right. So by distributing Haggadahs, Maxwell House connected with their target audience in a meaningful way, leading to increased brand loyalty and sales. It's not about the product itself, it's about understanding the underlying needs and desires of your audience.
That's such a clever strategy.
Hmm.
And it highlights the importance of thinking beyond the obvious and finding creative ways to achieve your goals.
Hmm.
Okay, so how do we cultivate this bottom line thinking?
Well,
What specific tips does Maxwell offer?
he starts with the most crucial step,
Right.
clearly defining the true bottom line.
Okay.
What is the ultimate goal you're trying to achieve?
Mm-hmm.
Strip away any distractions, emotional attachments, or agendas that might cloud your judgment.
It's about getting to the heart of the matter, the essence of what truly matters.
Right. Once you have that clear objective, he suggests developing a strategic plan
Okay.
that breaks down that big goal into smaller, actionable steps.
That makes sense. It's about creating that roadmap, that step-by-step guide to ensure you're moving in the right direction.
Exactly.
Huh.
And he stresses the importance of aligning your team members with the bottom line.
Right.
Everyone involved needs to understand the big goal,
Yeah.
their individual contribution to achieving it,
Mm-hmm.
and how their personal goals align with the overall objective.
It's about creating that shared vision
Exactly.
and ensuring that everyone is rowing in the same direction.
Precisely. And lastly, he encourages being relentless in your pursuit of the bottom line.
Okay.
Don't get sidetracked by distractions or discouraged by setbacks. Stay focused on the ultimate goal and keep pushing forward until you achieve it.
It's about having that unwavering determination and commitment to success. Okay, so we've covered realistic thinking, strategic thinking, and bottom line thinking. These are powerful tools for navigating those big decisions coming up, right?
Absolutely. They provide a solid framework for making informed, thoughtful, and strategic choices.
But before we dive into the specific applications of these skills for your situation, let's take a quick pause and reflect on what we've learned so far. I want to hear what's resonating with you. Which of these thinking skills stands out the most and why?
As we're talking about making these tough decisions, I keep thinking back to that story about Maxwell House and the Haagen-Dazs.
Right.
It's such a great illustration of how bottom line thinking can lead to unexpected opportunities.
Totally. It also shows that sometimes the most effective solutions aren't the most obvious ones.
Exactly. It wasn't about pushing more coffee, it was about understanding the needs and traditions of their target audience and finding a creative way to connect with them.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if there are similar opportunities hidden in plain sight in my own life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm so focused on the conventional approach that I'm missing out on those unconventional solutions that could make a real difference.
That's a great point, and this is where realistic thinking comes in. By challenging your assumptions and seeking out diverse perspectives, you might uncover possibilities you hadn't even considered.
Okay, let's get specific here. I'm facing this decision about whether to stay in my current role or take a leap of faith and start my own business. How can realistic thinking help me navigate that?
Well, remember those tips we discussed. First, gather the facts.
Okay.
What are the actual demands of starting a business? What resources do you have available? What are the potential risks and rewards?
Right. And don't just rely on my own rosy outlook. I need to talk to people who have actually walked to this path, both those who have succeeded and those who have faced challenges.
Exactly. Get those diverse perspectives. Talk to entrepreneurs, mentors, business coaches. Ask them the tough questions. What surprised them the most? What were their biggest challenges? What advice would they give their younger selves?
And even though it's scary, I need to confront the worst case scenario. What if the business fails? What's my backup plan? Having those contingency plans in place will make me feel more confident and less likely to make a decision based on fear.
Precisely. And that's a great segue to strategic thinking.
Okay.
Once you have a realistic understanding of the situation, you can start developing a strategic plan to guide your actions.
Okay, so how do I apply strategic thinking to this specific decision? Where do I even begin?
Remember, break it down into manageable steps.
Right.
Instead of getting overwhelmed by the enormity of starting a business, what's the very first step you need to take?
Well, I guess I need to define what kind of business I want to start. What are my strengths? What am I passionate about? What problem can I solve for others?
Excellent. And don't be afraid to challenge the conventional wisdom.
Okay.
What are the traditional steps to starting a business in your industry? Are there any you could skip or view differently? Are there any emerging trends or technologies that could give you an edge?
This is where those diverse perspectives become so valuable. Talking to people who are outside my usual circle could spark some truly innovative ideas.
Right. And once you have a clearer picture of the kind of business you want to create, you can start thinking about the practicalities. What resources will you need? What skills do you need to develop? How will you fund the startup?
And this is where realistic thinking comes back into play. I need to be honest with myself about my financial situation, my time constraints, and my skill set. No sugarcoating allowed.
Exactly. It's about developing a strategy that is both ambitious and achievable, given your unique circumstances. And remember, it's okay to start small and scale up as you gain experience and resources.
So break it down. Challenge assumptions, gather diverse input, be realistic about my resources.
Got it. Now, how does bottom line thinking fit into this strategic plan?
Bottom line thinking helps you stay focused on the ultimate goal throughout the entire process.
Right.
It's like that compass that keeps you heading in the right direction, even when you encounter unexpected detours.
So in this case, my bottom line is to launch a successful and fulfilling business that aligns with my passions and values.
Exactly. And every decision you make, every action you take should be evaluated against that bottom line. Does this move me closer to my goal or further away from it?
That's such a simple but powerful framework. It helps me cut through the clutter and stay focused on what truly matters. But let's be honest, staying laser-focused on the bottom line can sometimes feel like a grind. How do I stay motivated and prevent burnout along the way?
Well, this is where Maxwell's concept of possibility thinking comes into play.
Okay.
And remember, this is one of the thinking skills we're focusing on specifically for you. Oh, right. I'm excited to dive into that. Tell me more about possibility thinking. It sounds like a breath of fresh air after all this talk about facing harsh realities and planning for the worst.
It is. Possibility thinking is all about believing in solutions, even when faced with challenges. It's about embracing an optimistic outlook and cultivating that can-do spirit.
Okay, I can definitely use some of that. Starting a business can feel like a roller coaster of emotions. One minute I'm brimming with excitement, and the next I'm riddled with doubts.
And that's completely normal. But this is where possibility thinking can help you navigate those ups and downs. Remember that story about George Lucas and Star
Oh,
Wars?
right. When everyone told him his vision was impossible, he refused to believe them. He clung to that belief that he could bring his dream to life, and he revolutionized the film industry in the process.
Exactly. And that's the power of possibility thinking. It fuels our creativity, inspires us to take risks, and attracts others to our vision.
But how do I cultivate that unwavering belief, especially when faced with setbacks and doubts?
Maxwell offers several strategies for boosting possibility thinking. First, he encourages us to challenge negative self-talk.
Okay.
Our thoughts have immense power, and we need to be mindful of the messages we're feeding ourselves.
Oh, I'm definitely guilty of that.
Mhm.
My inner critic can be pretty harsh, especially when I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed.
We all have that inner critic, but we don't have to let it run the show.
Right.
Maxwell suggests replacing those negative thoughts with positive affirmations. Instead of saying, I can't do this, try saying, I'm learning and growing, and I'm capable of achieving my goals.
I love that. It's about shifting that mindset from self-doubt to self-belief. What else can I do to cultivate possibility thinking?
Maxwell also emphasizes the importance of surrounding yourself with positive, possibility-minded people.
Okay.
The people we spend time with have a huge influence on our thinking.
That's so true. If I'm constantly surrounded by naysayers and doubters, it's going to be hard to maintain that optimistic outlook.
Exactly. Seek out those friends, mentors, and colleagues who inspire you, who believe in your potential, and who encourage you to dream big. Their positive energy will be contagious.
Okay, so challenge native self-talk, surround myself with positive people. What else?
Maxwell also encourages looking for the good in every situation, even the challenging ones. There's always something to learn, even from our failures and setbacks.
It's about adopting that growth mindset,
Yeah.
seeing those challenges as opportunities for learning and improvement.
Precisely. And finally, Maxwell urges us to dream bigger and set goals that push beyond our comfort zone. Don't let fear hold you back. Embrace the challenge and strive for something truly extraordinary.
I love that. It's about giving ourselves permission to dream big and then taking those bold steps to turn those dreams into reality.
Yeah.
But sometimes it feels like there's a gap between dreaming big and actually making those dreams happen.
And that's where the power of reflective thinking comes in.
Oh, yeah, reflective thinking. It's about taking that pause,
Yeah.
that step back to really process and internalize
Yeah.
what we've learned and experienced.
Exactly. It's about creating that space for those deeper insights and connections to emerge.
So how can I use reflective thinking to bridge that gap between dreaming big and taking action?
Well, one of the simplest but most effective strategies is to schedule regular time for reflection.
Okay, I can do that. I could block out like 15 minutes each morning to journal, or just sit quietly and reflect on my goals and my progress. It's like having that mental check-in with myself.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a formal meditation practice.
Right.
It could be as simple as taking a walk in nature, listening to calming music, or just sitting in a quiet room and letting your thoughts flow. The key is to create that space for yourself, free from distractions, where you can tap into your inner wisdom.
And I love Maxwell's suggestion of asking those two key questions.
Yeah.
What did you like best? And what did you learn?
Mm-hmm.
It's such a simple but powerful way to extract those valuable lessons and insights from our experiences.
Right. It helps us identify what's working, what needs adjusting, and how we can apply those lessons to future challenges and opportunities.
And I imagine this becomes even more crucial when I'm facing a big decision, like starting my own business.
Yeah.
I need to take the time to reflect on my motivations, my values, and my long-term goals to ensure that this path is truly aligned with who I am and what I want to create in the world.
Exactly. Reflective thinking helps you connect with your inner compass, ensuring that your actions are guided by your true north.
I'm starting to see how all these thinking skills work together to create this powerful framework for decision-making and success. But let's be honest. Sometimes even with the best intentions, we make decisions that don't turn out as planned.
Yeah.
How do we deal with those setbacks and learn from our mistakes?
Well, first of all, remember that setbacks are a natural part of the journey. Everyone makes mistakes. It's how we learn and grow.
Okay, that's reassuring, but sometimes those mistakes can feel so discouraging.
Right.
How do I prevent them from derailing my progress?
No. This is where realistic thinking and reflective thinking become even more crucial.
Right.
When you encounter a setback, the first step is to face the truth head on. What went wrong? What role did you play in the outcome? And don't just focus on the negative.
Okay.
What did you learn from the experience?
Well,
What could you do differently next time?
it's about turning those oops moments into valuable learning opportunities.
Precisely. And this is where journaling can be so helpful. It allows you to process your thoughts and emotions, to identify patterns in your behavior, and to extract those valuable lessons that will help you make better decisions in the future.
So it's not just about dwelling on the mistake, it's about turning it into a stepping stone for future success.
Exactly. And remember, even the most successful people have faced their share of setbacks. It's their ability to learn from those experiences and adapt their approach that sets them apart.
So I shouldn't let those mistakes define me or derail my dreams. It's about picking myself up, dusting myself off, and using those lessons to fuel my future growth.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to seek out support from those possibility-minded people in your life. They can offer encouragement, perspective, and a reminder that you're not alone on this journey.
That's so helpful. Okay, so we've talked about realistic thinking, strategic thinking, bottom line thinking, possibility thinking, and reflective thinking. That's a lot of thinking.
That is.
Um, how do we ensure that all these different thinking skills are working together harmoniously?
Well, it's important to remember that these skills aren't meant to be practiced in isolation.
Okay.
They complement and enhance each other, creating a synergistic effect that amplifies their power.
So it's about developing this orchestra of thinking skills where each one plays its part in creating a beautiful and harmonious symphony of success.
Exactly. And the conductor of this orchestra is, you guessed it, reflective thinking.
Right.
It helps us monitor the performance of each thinking skill, identify areas for improvement, and ensure that all the instruments are playing in tune with our overall goals and values.
So it's like having that feedback loop, that constant process of evaluation and adjustment to ensure that we're always moving in the right direction.
Precisely. And one of the best ways to cultivate this integrated approach to thinking is to consciously practice each skill in different areas of your life.
So it's not just about applying these skills to my business decision. It's about using them in my relationships, my personal growth, my everyday life.
Exactly. The more you practice these skills, the more natural and ingrained they become, creating a positive ripple effect that touches every aspect of your life.
This is so empowering. I'm starting to see how cultivating these thinking skills can truly transform my life from the inside out.
And remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
There will be ups and downs, challenges and triumphs. But by embracing these thinking skills, you're equipping yourself with the tools you need to navigate those twists and turns with confidence and grace.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired and ready to take action, but before we wrap up this deep dive, I'd love to hear your final thoughts. What's the most important takeaway you want me to remember as I embark on this journey of cultivating these powerful thinking skills?
I think the most important takeaway for me is that these thinking skills aren't just about achieving external success.
Right.
They're about cultivating a more fulfilling and meaningful life overall.
That's a beautiful insight. And it speaks to one of Maxwell's core messages that true success is multifaceted.
Yeah.
It's not just about reaching the top of the ladder, it's about enjoying the climb, connecting with others, and making a positive impact along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love how these skills empower us to become more intentional about how we think
Yeah.
and how we live. It's not about letting life just happen to us. It's about taking the reins and steering our own course.
Exactly. Maxwell reminds us that we have the power to choose our thoughts.
Yeah.
And those thoughts shape our actions, our relationships, and ultimately our destiny.
That's such a powerful reminder. It means that even when faced with challenges and setbacks, we always have the power to choose how we respond, how we learn, and how we grow.
And that choice is what makes all the difference. It's the difference between feeling like a victim of circumstance and feeling like a co-creator of our own lives.
And speaking of choices, I'm curious about how questioning popular thinking fits into this framework. It's a skill we haven't talked about explicitly yet, but it seems so relevant to everything we've discussed.
Absolutely. Questioning popular thinking is the key to breaking free from limiting beliefs and societal norms that might be holding you back.
Okay.
It's about thinking for yourself, challenging the status quo, and forging your own path.
And it seems especially important when you're making a big decision like starting a business.
Yes.
There's so many rules and shoulds out there about how to do things, but sometimes those rules just don't apply to your unique situation.
Right. Blindly following conventional wisdom can stifle your creativity and prevent you from seeing those innovative solutions that are waiting to be discovered. Maxwell reminds us that every great idea was once considered unpopular. It was those brave souls who dared to challenge the accepted way of doing things, who created lasting change.
So it's about having the courage to question those rules, to think outside the box, and to trust your own instincts.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, going against the grain can feel really intimidating.
Yeah, it can.
How do we cultivate that courage to question popular thinking without feeling like we're going rogue?
Maxwell emphasizes the importance of surrounding yourself with people who support your growth and encourage you to think differently. It's about finding those mentors, friends, and colleagues who challenge you in a positive way, who spark your curiosity, and who celebrate your unique perspective.
That's so important. It's about creating that safe and supportive space where you feel comfortable exploring new ideas, even if those ideas are unconventional or unpopular.
Exactly. And remember, questioning popular thinking doesn't mean rejecting everything that's come before you.
Right.
It's about being discerning, evaluating those widely held beliefs, and determining whether they actually serve you or if they're just limiting your potential.
So it's about taking the best of what's come before and blending it with your own unique vision and insights to create something truly innovative and impactful.
Precisely. And this is where all those other thinking skills we've discussed come into play. Realistic thinking helps you assess the potential risks and rewards of challenging the status quo. Strategic thinking helps you develop a plan to navigate those uncharted waters. Bottom line thinking keeps you focused on your ultimate goal. And possibility thinking fuels your belief that you can create positive change even if it goes against the grain.
Wow. It's amazing how all these thinking skills work together to create such a powerful framework for growth and success.
Yeah.
I'm feeling so inspired and empowered to apply these strategies to my own life, especially as I navigate this big decision about starting my own business.
That's wonderful. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, challenges, and triumphs. But by embracing these thinking skills, you're giving yourself the gift of intentional growth and creating a life that is truly aligned with your passions, your values, and your dreams.
And to quote Maxwell himself, nothing limits achievement like small thinking. Nothing expands possibilities like unleashed thinking.
Beautiful. So go forth and unleash your thinking. Embrace those possibilities and never stop learning, growing, and striving to become the best version of yourself.
This deep dive into John C. Maxwell's How Successful People Think has been such an eye-opening experience. We hope you found it valuable and inspiring as well.
And if you're ready to delve deeper into Maxwell's thinking roadmap and apply these powerful strategies to your own life, we highly recommend picking up his book.
Yeah.
It's packed with even more practical advice, inspiring stories, and actionable tips that can help you transform your thinking and achieve greater success in every area of your life.
Until next time, keep thinking, keep learning, and keep creating the extraordinary life you were meant to live.